Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Sober Experience, you know the deal. Like and subscribe on all podcast platforms. We also have a new YouTube channel where you can subscribe and listen in the background or whatever. It's the Sober Experience. I'll try and post a link in the show notes. I mean, we've been doing pretty well. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode with Angel and Jeseth. And man, they went through it. That was like very heavy. It's been a lot of like emotional stuff going on with me. I don't know. Hold on, I'm adjusting the microphone. Yeah, I mean that was like emotional, like for real. Like, yeah, man, I watched the whole thing unfold. Not obviously, but I didn't know every single thing, and every time they lost a baby and how many they lost, and it wasn't. You got to say, man, God really. I guess God's got a plan. God's got a plan, and you just got to stick it out. You don't even know that you're gonna stay until you stayed, and then all of a sudden, wow, I guess I stayed. I guess I stayed. And then you're always happy that you did. As an adult, I don't even know what's an adult anymore. An adult is what? It's like every decade, like when you hit 30, you're like, nah, an adult is 30 and over. Then all of a sudden you hit 40, you're like, bro, I was not an adult in my 30s. In my 40s, I'm a motherfucking adult. So there's that. Yeah. So it was good. It was special. It was nice. I had an eventful week also. I finally finished my my service commitment at Keep It Fresh, where I was doing the big book study every week, and that was cool. But I've had it since August. So it's a long time to have a commitment. It's like a long fucking time. And I enjoyed it. I did it with my boy Jimmy, who I freaking love so much. And he's such a good guy. I got to get him on this podcast. Part of me knows that he would crush it, be incredible. The other part of me, he'll be like, tradition 12, anonymity. I don't know. Freaking guy. But, he also, he wants to be a little bit AA famous, if you want to say that. So there's that. And it was a wonderful experience. There was this guy that was coming to that meeting, and then he also came to one of my other home groups, Sons of Bill. And this guy was like on fire, man. He was, I think I might have talked about him before, but he was like, Jesus, 92 days or 97 days out of rehab with all the answers. And he was like, letting it fly in the meeting, and we had to like kind of not check him a little bit, but when you come to a meeting, as long as you don't disrupt the meeting, you can basically kind of say whatever the hell you want, depending on how the meeting is run and who it's run by. And some places they're a little bit loosey goosey with the rules, if you want to say their rules. The only rule in the AA program is Rule 62, which is do not take yourself that seriously. That's the only actual rule. But, we have group conscience, which is kind of like the rules, where each group is autonomous, meaning that they have their own like little house rules. So some meetings you can talk about drugs. Some meetings you cannot. Or they ask you not to. And if you do, now you know that you're being disrespectful to the meeting. And if that's who you want to be, fucking cool. But I don't know what's going to happen if you keep doing it, They're not going to kick you out, but they might not let you share. They might be like, hey, look, you're going to pass until you learn the fucking rules. Or the person who's picking the people speaking, like they're just going to stop picking you if you decide to, hold the meeting hostage. So this friggin' guy, that's what he was doing. He did it on Wednesday at my men's meeting, where he's got it all figured out. And it was so blatant. Like, he was like, oh, you have this thought. I think he's Hungarian. He won't even really say his name. He's like mumbling. And he's like, you have this thought, then you have to overpower it with this thought. I have it all figured out. It's like speaking so matter-of-factly. And it was so, it was very intense, and he was yelling. And if we see him again at the meeting, somebody's just going to have to talk to him and say, listen, what you did last week, you can't do that again. You can't be in here yelling. You can't be in here fucking talking at people. You share your own thing. And that's it. You got a couple minutes, you get it off your chest, and you fucking move on. The rest of it is all ego. So there's that, you know? Yeah, so that, anyway, so at the meeting, he just, because he goes on, and he's like, oh, everybody I come into meeting, they're so scared. They're so scared of relapse. Like, oh, my God, why are you scared of relapse? How could you be scared? You know, if you don't touch it, it won't hurt you, and all these other things. He makes these crazy analogies where he's saying, you know, if I don't have sex with that girl, then she's not going to get pregnant and I'm not going to have a baby. So as long as I don't have sex with her, that's the whole key. So just don't do it. Just don't do it. And I'm like, dude, number one, I'm like, listen, you're allowed to. He's not saying anything that I've never heard. I've been in recovery 20 plus, you know, and that's years, Mickey Fickies, straight. So he, yeah, you know, that's the deal. You know, he hasn't said anything that I haven't heard, but he thinks it's an original idea similar to the thing that I said last time I was here. So, you know, we kind of like stopped the fucking meeting just to address this fucking guy. Just to let him know, hey, listen, nobody in here is scared of anything. Period. Nobody. We have become educated on the disease of addiction, so we have respect for the disease. We are not scared. Because you're getting it wrong with that interpretation of why we keep coming and why we try to help other people so they can grow from that place of fear to the place of respect. And that's the thing. You know, and I saw a couple of light bulbs going off in his head. And I was like, okay. Like, you know, there might be hope for him. So the next time he's around, I'll be sure, you know. The truth is, the person who's running the meeting is supposed to be the one pulling him aside. I'll pull his ass aside just because I'm a fucking OG. But, you know, just say, hey, listen, you know, this is a place where it's not anything goes. You know, there are other meetings where there could be anything goes. That's cool, but it's not this one. You know, so you have to respect the other people who are here. You cannot talk at people, meaning that somebody shares some shit, and then when it's your time to share, you're giving them advice or whatever. Like, that's unacceptable. And, yeah, unacceptable. So, speaking of respect. Speaking of that, you know, I come back, I was out of town, and I'll get to that in a little while. I was up in Vermont. Anyway, so I come back, and one of the things like that I do not do in my life, and only recently have I been doing, maybe meaning in the last like 6 months or a year or something, I'd say 6 months, is I have been watching shows with my wife. Like, oh, we're going to watch this show. Now, I never watched a lot of shows that are popular, only because I didn't, you know, have such a defiant streak in me that I believe, I'm like, bro, if everybody's watching Game of Thrones, guess who's never watching Game of Thrones? You know, even though I'm sure it's probably very, very, very good. So, point being is that we're watching Dexter, right? Now, there's like this little vein of exposure to recovery in Dexter. Now, I know that the show is very old, but I got to tell you, I know it's fiction, but it's like very disrespectful to recovery rooms and how it actually goes. It's very disrespectful. So I'll go into a little bit why I believe that. And I haven't made it all the way through, so maybe hopefully they turn it around. A couple of things they get right. That's like 2 out of 10 things they get fucking right. One is like this guy showing up to NA meetings, right? Which is whatever. He's allowed. Anybody's allowed. And of course, there's some loosey-goosey girl there. And she's like giving him the eye and this and that. And he's brand new. So that is like maybe 8% accurate. If that, because dog, when somebody's new, guess what? They hide in the fucking corner. That's how we can spot them. She's like giving them the slinky winky eye and this other shit. And even my wife, she's like, ugh. I was like, yeah, ugh. Here comes one of those fucking pigs, So, whatever. Then there's a guy sharing from the podium. And the guy in another episode or maybe something, whatever. He starts going to meetings. One episode, some guy's up there talking and talking and talking. He's like, yeah, I got 23 days clean. 0. That would never happen. Ever. Like, when they ask you to speak, they're like, how much time you got? He could say he has 7 years and nobody's going to check. But if he's like, I got 23 days, like, nah, dog, you need 90 to share your experience, strength, and hope. After that, you can share whenever you want. You can share from the floor, but you ain't getting up to the podium. No. So I'm like, dude, that is like very inaccurate. And I'm like, and as they go along, he gets the girl, the slinky girl, to be his fucking sponsor. Or she goes to sponsor him. She apparently, I don't know how many, if I remember, she has like 5 years. So she goes to like sponsor him or whatever. And I'm like, oh man. Like, why would you make it like that? Why? And I know it's like fiction, But maybe I'm being too sensitive, but it's very fiction. It's a lot of fiction. It's like, dude, that would never, if that happened, like people would jump on the guy right away and say, listen, number one, men with the men, women with the women. Dude, you do not need a fucking woman sponsor, and that girl's a fucking whore, and you need to stay away from her. That's what the other men in the group would say to him. That's what they would say. They say, dude, listen. Because, bro, you think I don't know? We all know some of them. When you show up somewhere, I've been there, and somebody's extra friendly, right away I'm like, oh boy, this is the loose lady of this community. And then the dudes right away, they're like, bro, she blew everybody. I'm like, okay. Number one, it's not really for me. Whatever it is. Number two, thank you for letting me know. Because it's sick people helping sick people. We're just not all sick on the same day. But the point is that we're supposed to be like trying to fly straight. So Dexter's got this girl now, and a female sponsor, and she's like very, whatever. She kissed him on the mouth a couple times, and she gets half naked in front of him because there's no step work or any of this other. There's no like program. It's just two sick people going to meetings, and then they end up fucking around. And I'm like, bro, that is like not, like, why couldn't you just do a different storyline? You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. It made me mad. It fucking made me mad. So then he cheats on his regular girlfriend with the fucking sponsor, who, and then on top of that, so the sponsor's like this, whatever, this artist, and, you know, the sponsor reminds me of the same energy that the crazy writer or journalist plays in the Doors movie with Val Kilmer. The one that does all the witchcraft shit, and it would be very hard for anybody to say no to that chick. This chick, it's a little easier. She's not that easy on the ice. But she has that same fucking vibe. Like, this bitch is fucking evil, you know? And whatever clinical, biological, medical, you know, chemical shit she's got going on in her brain that I'm sure makes her very attractive in some ways. To some people, that's it. It'll burn, you know, so it'll burn you to the ground. So, but the point is that having having that type of relationship, people in recovery, does it happen? Yeah, I'm very outside of that whole loop, so I'm sure it happens more than I know. But in the way that they depict it, it was just without taste, you know? You know what I'm saying? And then, like, she sells, like, a big piece of her artwork or whatever. He finally admits to his girlfriend that he cheated on her with the fucking sponsor. His girlfriend knew that he shouldn't have a female sponsor if he's taking the program seriously. Now, I almost sponsored a biological female, but she was a lesbian. And I still told my woman, I was like, bro, this person wants me to sponsor them. She's like, what? So I was like, yeah, but they're like, you know. He's like, oh, okay. And then she met them. She met her, and then she was like, all right, yeah, that's cool. And plus also she knows that I don't fuck around. Not that I don't really fuck around. Like, I don't fuck around. So anyway, so the point is that, like, you know, the girl sells her fucking shit. Now, meanwhile, he's in recovery, but he's just going to these meetings. He's recovering from killing people, but he's in recovery, yeah, for killing people. They think it's for drugs. Meanwhile, he's going out and he's drinking, right? When they're not around, when she's not around, whatever. Or they think he's a heroin addict, but regardless. Anyway, she sells one of her fucking art pieces or something. They go out to dinner because now they're quote unquote dating for half an episode. And champagne comes to the table, and she comes in and she grabs a glass. He grabs a glass, and he looked at her. He's like, "Oh, aren't we supposed to be clean?" And she's like, "Yeah, but we're celebrating. It's okay." And then she starts swigging the champagne, and I'm like, "Bro, does nobody fucking talk to these writers, or was this show from so long ago?" Let me see when the show was from. Because it made me so angry. Like, I was getting offended. I don't really get offended that much. Dexter show. Let me see. When was season 2? Dexter TV series. From 2006 to 2013. So that means that season 2 had to have been like 2007, maybe, or something, or 2008, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I know it was like an award-winning show and all this other stuff, but it just left a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, dude, so this is how you're putting the NA program on fucking Showtime. That, yeah, you get a whore fucking female sponsoring the dude, and she breaks up the home, and then they go out drinking together at a fucking like, that's what it is? Meanwhile, he's getting some of this moral compass stuff. He's getting it without doing any of the step work. He's just getting it, you know, where he was honest with his girlfriend when he didn't have to be. And that honesty equals freedom and all that other stuff, yeah. And meanwhile, the girl's going down the fucking deep end, burning down her fucking apartment and shit to try and get attention from him because she knows he's going to go back to his original girl, who is like, you know, a wholesome, nice chick who also got hooked up with the wrong fucking dude at a different moment. So there's that. Yeah, so dramatic license is one thing, you know. But I think disrespect is another thing, and I thought it was disrespectful. I'm just going to leave it at that because I was looking at my wife. I'm like, bro, it's like, this is fucking crazy. You know, like it's crazy just to be crazy. Like, how crazy can we make it? You know? Now, mind you, I know a guy, not going to say his name, out of respect for him and whatever. I know a guy that his sponsor, this is many, many years ago, his sponsor ran off with his wife. Like, he was the sponsor was sponsoring him, and I guess he ran off with his wife. I was like, are you fucking crazy? I was like, that happened? He was like, yeah. And this guy was an amazing, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man. And I was like, yeah. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, I said it to him because we talk at meetings all the time. He'd have the best. He was like an old timer. He had the best jokes. He had the best, like, he was like a history buff, and he'd have all these like little fun facts and all these things that make getting to know older people a lot of fun. I was like, bro, that's fucking crazy. And I was so angry when he told me. I said, dude, me and my friends, I said, yo, is he around? I said, because we'll fuck him up. You know, whatever. Fake bravado. And he was like, no. As a matter of fact, he did me a favor. You know, I was like, okay. You know, whatever. So, but what I'm saying is that, like, the sensationalism in that show is on par with the sensationalism in that movie Saltburn, where they're just doing it just to do it, like in a very, you know, what do you call it? In a very, like, adolescent way. Like, shock value just to be shocking, you know, with no real purpose. It's just like, how can I tell the most ridiculous story or do, like, you know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, dude, you know, you can make the mark without, you know, without using a sledgehammer. You know, it's actually more effective when you don't. So, yeah. So there was that. You know, but that was again. I spent that last couple of hours yesterday because I went up to Vermont on Friday. Well, Thursday was my last kind of day of working, and Friday, because we did the Memphremagog Ice Lake Swimming Competition. Me and 3 other polar bears went up there together. Frank the Tank, my brother, my boy Ammer, my other brother, and Jessan, who I also love deeply. She's like our little woke sister. And yeah, we went up there and we competed, man. They saw a fucking couple of lanes in the ice. You get in that water, there's no cheating, no neoprene, no gloves, no shoes, no nothing. And the water, I think he said, was like 30 degrees or something. So it wasn't like frozen solid, like the water was actually water. But there was like, you know, 10 inches, there was at least 1.5 feet or more of ice on top because you could walk on it. There were people on it with snowmobiles and ATVs, so it was fucking solid. They saw through all of that stuff. They make 2 lanes. And let me tell you, the water was cold, and we were down. And I paid attention a little too much to the safety precautions, which I won't next year. So we went up there repping the Coney Island Polar Bears, and we did it in a way that was not like overbearing. We weren't trying to make a splash, but we were like letting them know, you know, Wu-Tang is for the children. That's what we were letting them know. So we went up there with our gold chains and with all of our little bravado. And, you know, they were real. It's such a crazy event that not a lot of people do it. It's like there was less than 170 swimmers for a 3-day event. You know, and a lot of people were swimming multiple races and this and that. So it's not like something like, all right, New Year's Day, Coney Island, Polar Bear Dip, 5,000 people. Here, it's like craziest of the crazies. You're up there with like people who are certifiable, and they're like real cold water swimmers. There's a lady who swam around fucking Manhattan 7 times in 7 days, and all these other competition swimmers. You know, they do open water swimming. They're doing, like, you know what I'm saying? Which is cool. I mean, for us, it's like, you know, we're not, we like to be crazy. We like to have costumes. We like to have fun. We stay in the water, whatever. So for me, I was optimistic because when we do swimming in Coney Island every Sunday with the Polar Bears, I stay in that water maybe 20, sometimes 30 minutes. I'll stay in that water. And then when you get out of that water, you got to walk up the beach. It's a long walk from the beach to the changing room. So here, up in Vermont, the water is colder, not that much colder, 5-8 degrees. But, I mean, it's a big difference. But you're only in the water because you're swimming. You're only in the water for like fucking 1 minute, 2 minutes. So you're in the water less time, and it's less of a walk, even though you're walking on a frozen fucking lake. Less of a walk back to the changing room. But it's so cold. When we were there, it was 7 degrees out. And that's before the wind on the fucking lake. It was just straight 7 degrees. You know, if you were standing in the sun with no wind. So imagine being on the lake with the wind whipping across the lake after you get out of that freezing water. You can get frostbite within a minute or two, if that, maybe less. So they were telling us not to put your face in the water for too, like, you know, because the less exposed, because you're from exposure when you get out in that walk. So I didn't do it. I swam with most of the time with my face out of the water, and it slowed me up. I would have really smoked my my swim buddy. It was a race. I want to say that. I don't want to say it wasn't, but it was. It was a race. And so I raced this lady. Her name was Laverne. And I felt bad because when she showed up, she had like a little patch for me. It's like, oh, I always give this to my partner. I was like, oh my God, I don't have anything. I'll just give you a big hug, Laverne. I love the name that I love the fact that her name was Laverne. You know, I love that. Yeah. So I don't really get any points for smoking Laverne, but I fucking smoked Laverne. And then this other lady, whatever, was trying to pop shit to my boy Amber, who's like my fucking little brother. In a way that he's still my equal brother, but he's like my little brother. Like, I fucking love this kid. And she came with all of her fucking bravado. Like, yeah, you know, I'm a competition swimmer. And, you know, when we get in there, it's all business. No shaky hands, no, not like whatever. Like, no offense, but this is all business for me. And I'm like, bro, we're over here looking silly with gold chains and polar bear outfits and trying to fucking just chill and have fun. Our big dog Ilya is up there. I don't know why they call him Elliot. It's a strange thing. We're going to have to, we keep trying to tell him, we got to ask him, why they call you Elliot when your name's Ilya? Either way. And when I mean this guy, he's a rogue warrior. Completely rogue. Like, he goes out there with a big, I would say a 2 foot by 3 foot, maybe? No, I'd say it's probably like a 4 foot by 5 foot. No, I'd say 3 foot by 4 foot fucking boombox. And he makes a splash. Swims with his fucking aviator, fucking orange glasses on. You know what I'm saying? He's got a mohawk. He's an OG polar bear. He's an open water swimmer. He's like our fucking, you know, he's like, you know, there's a problem, he'll solve it. Either way. So this lady's popping shit to Amdog, and he's like, all right, whatever. I haven't really swam since high school. And he fucking whipped her ass. I mean, it was close. But for somebody who hasn't swam in 20 years to beat this lady by more than half a length. Just letting you know. You know what I'm saying? And did it with class. I got out like, hey, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. Our boy Frank the Tank, he also swam well, and Jeseth swam well. So we represented. I think Frank won 2 races. I only swam once. Jeseth, I don't think she won her race. I don't remember. And that's okay. We'll get him next year. But me, Am-Dog, and then Ammer at the end when he did the breaststroke with this lady, 25-meter breaststroke. The lady was older, and he was like whipping her, and I was taping, make sure he gives his son a shout out, Sebastian, our little guy Sebastian, give him a shout out, and then he stopped like 2/3 of the way through to slow up for the lady to come, because she was older. Yeah, you don't get points for whipping an old lady, and then they all both touched the wall at the same time, and that was nice. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we represented so hard. You know, people, there's so many photographers and people up there. Our good friend Robbie, who I'll talk about in a minute. Anyway, so because we made an impression. And next year we're going up there hard body karate. Like seriously, hard body karate. We're going back up there. And we're going to do relays. We're going to do all of that. Right? So, the next day, we're gone, because we had to leave that night after we swam to get home. We stopped by this place in New Haven. It's called like George's whatever. It's supposed to be the first burgers ever made in America. George's Diner or something. I don't know what it's called. Let me find out the name. Hold on, because I'm sure I have it in my search of Deech. More recent history. Not Chirping Chicken. Stay with me. Yeah, Louis' Lunch. Sorry, Louis' Lunch in New Haven, right? Apparently, first burgers ever made in America. They're still making them in the same way. We went there for nostalgia. And, it wasn't that great. I was like, all right, we did it once. I wouldn't do it again. So, anyway, we come back. And while I was up there, after I came out of my race, I was so pumped up. I was like, dude, my diet is going to go out the window right now. I'm going to get myself cinnamon roll French toast in Vermont with all the fucking crack drizzle on it. It was incredible. Like, it tasted really good, but it was unserving. Like, when I was done, I was like, I didn't really have to do that. In my mind, I'm thinking like I'm missing out on all these carbs and all this sugar. And then when I get it, I'm like unbothered. Like I feel a lot better doing steak and eggs. Straight up. Like you don't even think that you'd make that transition, but you fucking do. It's almost like with the drugs. Like, dude, I feel better not having the drugs. So, entonces, y también, right? Next day, they sent us down a picture yesterday. Which is Sunday, or I guess today, Sunday, that we made the local paper, me and my crew. They put us on the front page of like, the people swimming at the lake, blah, blah, blah. So we made a little bit of a splash, and it was nice. And the picture is great, and it's got Ammer with his little Sebastian lobster from, what is that, Finding Nemo? Under the Sea, I think. Whatever it is. And that was nice. Yeah, and then when I came home, I just, I watched some UFC and I went to sleep the next day. I got up, I went to a meeting, I was happy. I didn't go swim at Coney. I was like, dude, I need to spend a day with my wife because I missed my wife. Then we went in the afternoon after the meeting. I went to my meeting, came home, and we went to go see the Bob Marley movie. And I was like, I've come close to crying more times after I've been married than ever in my life. And this was one of those times. Do not see that movie if you don't want to consider crying, because it is such, all those songs and all that stuff that just remind me. And obviously, I mean, Bob died, when I was a very little kid. But, Bob Marley music has been in my whole life. And those of you who know me know that, I love reggae music. And not just dance hall, especially 90s dance hall, but I listen to a lot of roots reggae and a lot of dub. Like, when I was a kid, like I discovered it, or when I discovered it to me in my life. Bob was like number one, obviously. And then like, bro, it's in the 90s and you're just listening to all this stuff and it was so good. And I knew calypso music, everything. So all those records I already knew, even the ones that were not famous that they were playing in the movie. The kid did an amazing job playing Bob, and you fell in love with him, man. And I knew it was going to be a lot for me to see it because obviously he dies. And I was like getting choked up. Man, even, bro, they got a redemption song. Come on. Everything, like everything. It's just everything. Such a beautiful life and a beautiful story. And I still, if I go on my Pandora right now, there's at least 2 or 3 reggae stations. And, yeah. Let's say there's 4. 3 of them are, one of them is the roots rock reggae, and that's a good one. It's like his era. But also I have like a dub one that's just dub reggae, and then I have a King Tubby one, which is also amazing. Even back in the day when they had like jungle music, I was going to say only, but I mostly listened to the jungle music that had the reggae dubstep in it, if that's the right word. But it was like reggae jungle. It was like really, really good. And, yeah. So it was an emotional couple of days. Super highs, I wouldn't say super lows. There were no lows. But like emotional roller coaster. And now I'm back with you guys. Following up, making sure I'm checking in with everybody. And letting you know that, like, this is a beautiful life, man. And you can leave your mark if you want. And you leave your mark on the people. And if others notice, like, look, we ended up in the newspaper and this and that, whatever, because for new people, we weren't standoffish. Other people are drinking at the bar. We're all fucking sober. We're very welcoming. We're like, you know what I'm saying? That's the principles that we live by. Not the shit you see on fucking Diggity Dexter. But, yeah, man. Like, and it's nice. And it's nice I'm able to share that with my kids. Even when I sent my wife, like, Frank, he taped me swimming. Yeah, he taped me swimming. And we sent it to my wife. And she'd never seen me swim, fucking around in my mom's pool. But she's like, whoa, you're pretty fast. And I was like, it made me feel good, man. That lady gave me a little compliment action. I'm like, yeah. But I could have just said thank you, but I did say thank you. I said next time I'll do better. And then I explained to her about the face in the water. Because I didn't need to have it out of the water. And it's definitely slowed me down. So maybe, but the good thing is that maybe some of these folks will think that that's my time. And then next year they're going to see what the real time is. So, yeah, leave your mark, man. Leave your impression on people, whether it's, whether it's noticed or not by anybody else. Like, nobody's going to say they had a bad time being around me anymore. And that's the thing that I love. My name is ringing out for the right reasons. I'm getting a lot of messages about the episode I dropped with my cousin and his wife about their infertility struggles. A lot. Mostly from family members now. But, when I put these episodes out, man, it's like a slow burn. They go and then they go and then next thing you know, it'll be reach even more. Like, nobody listens like in a row. I mean, we have obviously subscribers that listen every week and people who are really into what we're doing here, which is we are trying to create an atmosphere of love. And it works. All right, guys. Like and subscribe on all podcast platforms. the sober experience. We'll see you in another week or so. Keep an eye out for the YouTube channel. It's also called The Sober Experience. It'll have the big, our logo, the big cup, like we're dragging around a big cup of coffee. All right, guys. Oh, happy anniversary, Hammer. I'll see you tonight at Decker. I love you. Peace.